moo ko fal ci biir Fuuta ak feneen fudul Fuuta fu mu fi dem moo mat waaja man gaaya bañ demee ca Mawlaaya amaraaya waaja man xoolal maamam Mawdo moo ko fal ci biir Tiwaawan ak feneen fudul Tiwaawan fu mu fi dem moo doon waaja gaaya ca Mawlaaya amraaya man xoolal ma sarif Keeba moo ko fal ci biir Burfut ak feneen fudul Burfut gi fu mu fi dem moo mat waaja gaaya bañ demee ca Mawlaaya amraaya man xoolal ma sarif Keeba moo ko fal ci biir Burfut ak feneen fudul Burfut fu mu fi dem moo mat waaja bañ demee ca Mawlaaya ko fa gis mu am raaya seexa tax moo doon waaja
yal nañu yàlla seyal waa ji waay
muna dunang yara duniyan de gina suuti de modu be fata fa banta
Major security concerns cause U.S. embassies and consulates across North Africa and the Middle East to take extraordinary precautions. We'll have an update. The latest on a legal challenge in the aftermath of Zimbabwe's elections. And Japan launches a new astronaut into space. And it's not human. Africa 54 starts right now.
Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory. This is Africa 54, where tonight the United States has reopened several of its diplomatic missions in North Africa and the Middle East. However, 19 embassies and consulates in the region remain closed due to security concerns. Embassies in Algiers, Kabul and Baghdad are among the posts the State Department authorized to open on Monday. American officials closed the missions and issued a global travel alert for American citizens last week, warning of a strong potential for terrorist attacks. The State Department says it is keeping the 19 remaining posts closed through Saturday out of an abundance of caution. The U.S. North African embassies in Cairo and Tripoli are among those remaining closed. And now for more insight on the embassy security concerns and closings, VOA's Carla Bob joins us live from the U.S. State Department. Hello, Carla.
Hi, Vincent. Closing this many embassies for security reasons is an unprecedented move and one that officials here at the State Department are not taking lightly. Many of these embassies were actually going to be closed for the bulk of the week due to celebrations at the end of Ramadan. But the State Department decided to extend these closings to protect its citizens and to protect its employees. This is not going to be due to any new threat, they've said. As you recall, last week there was some chatter, there was some intelligence that there was a threat from Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula that's based in Yemen. And that's when they issued the travel alert to Americans around the world that you mentioned, and this travel alert is going to remain in place until the end of August. Now, one thing that was particularly interesting is that despite reopening some of the embassies, they've closed 4 embassies in African nations. That's Rwanda, Madagascar, Mauritius, and Burundi.
Now, Carla, do you get some sense of why those in the sub-Saharan Africa were also added to this list?
Well, they're not going to release any details, any reasons why, and they're not talking about the specifics of the chatter that led to these closings. But Africa has a history of terrorist attacks against the United States. In 1998, the bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, hundreds of people were killed in those embassy bombings, 12 of them Americans. And there was an attack just a few months ago, less than a year ago, on the consulate in Benghazi, Libya. The ambassador there, Chris Stevens, was killed. And this is fresh on Americans' minds.
Now, these are many embassies, very significant locations. What does this mean to the Americans who are in those countries and also to the citizens of those countries who may want to do business with the U.S.?
Well, this is just a sign that the war on terror is an ongoing process. I was talking to someone from the Middle East Institute, Graham Bannerman, and he said that there's always going to be organizations that want to attack Americans, that hate America, and the diplomatic people in these areas have to deal with this. At the end of the day, if you're going to deal with inconvenience from closings or the loss of lives, you'd rather keep your people safe.
Yes. Do we know at all whether these embassies that remain closed will be reopened all at once, or they're going to be giving us piecemeal openings in different regions?
Well, they've only said that they're going to be closed through Saturday. We're assuming now that many of these will reopen at the end of the time, but they do have leeway to keep these closed indefinitely.
Well, Callum, thanks a lot for giving us those updates. Now, Callum Bob joined us live from the State Department. Now, as America's military, diplomatic, and intelligence services remain on high alert, VOA's Michael Bowman tells us more about the terrorist threat.
President Obama is getting regular briefings and updates from his national security team, including the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Martin Dempsey.
There is a significant threat stream, and we're reacting. It is an al-Qaeda, an affiliated threat.
Across the Muslim world, where American citizens are taking precautions.
I don't go near the embassy, for any reason.
I do keep as low a profile as I can. Obviously, I'm a sizable guy that looks like what I am, an American. And that said, I don't walk into harm's way intentionally. Avoid large crowds where I can.
U.S. officials have provided few details about any imminent terrorist plots or specific intelligence they have received. But the Obama administration appears determined to avoid a repeat of last year's deadly attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya. Probes of the incident revealed that security warnings prior to the attack went unheeded. Even America's best protected diplomatic posts, like the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, are vulnerable to attack, according to Iraq-based security analyst Amir al-Sadi.
The American embassy in Iraq is the biggest embassy in the world in the area, staff, and fortifications, but it is not entirely safe from rockets and mortars.
At U.S. airports, many departing for the Middle East say the travel alert did not cause them to change their plans.
Have family there, have wedding to attend.
I really feel safe, and there's no need to worry about anything. I always call my family back home, and they're always saying everything is safe.
President Obama will continue to get regular updates on the situation. Meanwhile, Congress is idle until September, allowing lawmakers to hear from constituents on issues ranging from immigration reform to recent revelations about the federal government's domestic surveillance capabilities. Michael Bowman, VOA News, Washington.
Interim government has set August 25th as the date it will put Muslim Brotherhood chief Mohammed Badi and one of his deputies on trial for inciting violence. Badi and his deputy Khairat El-Shatter are accused of starting violence that led to the deaths of protesters outside the Brotherhood headquarters in June, shortly before the military coup that ousted President Mohammed Morsi. Meantime, a top U.S. diplomat is in Cairo attempting to find a solution to end the month-long stalemate between Egypt's military-backed government and supporters of the embattled former president. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State William Burns met with leaders of the interim government, and later he met with the El-Shatter in prison where he is being held. Thousands of pro-Morsi supporters have set up 2 large round-the-clock vigils in Cairo, demanding his reinstatement. Violence between security forces and the pro-Morsi supporters has left hundreds of people dead. The interim government has threatened to break up the protest camps if the demonstrations continue. Now, Egyptian General Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has emerged as the key leader in the interim military-backed government. As VOA's Elizabeth Arrett reports from Cairo, the general climbed from obscurity, was chosen by then-President Mohammed Morsi to head the armed forces last year, and later ousted him.